Hi everybody, it's Gordon here again this afternoon. Hope you're all well. Here we are all going into the next phase of lockdown. Technically though, I guess you're all sort of back at school, at least in an online sense now, and I know your teachers are all doing great work putting together online courses and tasks for you to complete. Do make the most of those, that's going to be really important for you. As for me, I want to talk to you about vocabulary choices this afternoon, and in particular focus on a really basic one that we use all the time in our spoken language and particularly in our narrative pieces as well, and that's the word said. A very short four-letter word, S-A-I-D. Look, there's absolutely nothing wrong, first of all, with using the word said. Why? Well, because it does precisely what it says in the tin, really. It's an effective word. It's a really efficient little word that we can use all the time. However, I think there's a strong case to be made for using some alternatives now and again, and to have some alternatives at your disposal. I'd be thinking perhaps, for example, of doing this to reinforce our understanding of a character, and how that character might be behaving or interacting with other characters. For example, you might have a character who uses the expression she, or a writer says she whispered. Well, we immediately think that the character might be quite timid or nervous or something of that nature. Whereas if we've got a character about whom the writer says he boomed, well, we instantly know that character's likely to be more assertive and altogether more confident. So simple choices available in that way. How do you find them? Well, let's go back to our old friend, the GCSE English anthology, the AQA one that is, that we've been looking at in recent videos, in particular the short stories. I want you to look first of all at the short story called Growing Up by Joyce Carey, and in there I've got four examples that literally leapt out off the page, the page of that short story. She answered is an alternative to she said. Jenny echoed, she uttered, and she cried. Four very straightforward alternatives to the word said. Look, they're not mind-blowing alternatives, but they're certainly going to provide you with some interesting variations and give a little bit more life to your own language in your own story rather. Just quickly, reminder that the word said or the alternatives for that can indeed come before what is actually spoken. For example, from that short story by Joyce Carey, at once Kate jumped up, seized another bamboo and threw it, shouting, "Tiger, tiger." So we've got the word shouting before what she actually says. We can also add some supplementary information to whichever word we're using, be it the word said or an alternative. For example, and shouted at the top of her voice. We've added some extra information there which might prove useful. You might also find that no said words are used at all, be it the word said or an alternative, which is quite interesting. And actually the basic rule of dialogue applies there, as long as you use it properly, whereby a new speaker is indicated by your use of a fresh line for whatever is being said. So in some cases, the use of the word said or an alternative might be redundant. It's also interesting to look, for example, maybe at something like the Ernest Hemingway short story called The End of Something in our AQA anthology too. Look at the first page there, and Ernest Hemingway, a great writer, actually uses the word said over and over again for any time somebody has spoken in that piece. The only alternative he uses on one occasion is to use the word asked when somebody is asking a question. Why we might wonder, perhaps, is he not varying his vocabulary, or perhaps in that instance he doesn't want to have any unnecessary distractions from what's happening or what's being said. Anyway, here's a few from a short story I've been writing recently. More of that another time, but I've got the words he offered, or he snapped back, or he replied. So there's 3 more examples. I've given you 7 variations so far, and I'm sure you can find lots more if you dig out a piece of fiction, have a glance through 3 or 4 pages worth, and go through the section of dialogue and just itemize any variants that you find that could replace the word said. Nice little task to finish off with is to have a go at writing a piece of dialogue, perhaps that involves a little bit of an argument between two characters, or maybe it's about a difficult conversation that's got to be had, and see what you can put together in the way of alternatives to the words said. Okay, don't forget to try and subscribe to this video channel, my YouTube channel. It's free to subscribe, and it'll give you alerts as you know when new videos are put together. You may also want to take a look at my book. It's by Gordon Michael Sutton on Amazon, free delivery, and that's You Write It, Creative Writing for GCSE English. Okay, listen, have a great day, stay well, and I'll catch up with you soon. Bye for now.